mean, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Let's reward those who go to the rural areas, who stay there. Give them a real incentive.
Maybe the private sector should be much more involved here, you know, because, I mean...
Well, in what, not with setting up schools, because the parents
maybe
in the
not
rural
setting up schools,
poor communities cannot pay. Would they be
a
willing
private teacher training institution?
Yeah, but why would someone who's paid a lot of money to go to a private teacher training college want to work in a deprived community where the pay is not very attractive, it's the government rate, and the conditions are very difficult.
But maybe we mustn't, I mean, without trying to sound like the deprived communities is not important, I mean, there are real problems in urban schools.
There are problems, yes.
So, I mean...
We know that. The problems in the urban schools are not to do with qualified teachers. Most of them have qualified teachers.
So what are the problems?
The problems are, apart from infrastructure, poor buildings, etc., supervision.
That's the key issue, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a lack of supervision.
Yes. You have
from where? Ghana Education Service?
Yes. At the moment, Ghana Education Service is charged with supervision, and they have not lived up to the task. And under the new Education Act, which is yet to be passed, teachers' supervision will go back to the Ministry of Education.
Be taken away from Ghana Education Service?
Yes, because you sort of have the same employer who is supervising. So there's a bit of a conflict of interest there.
There's very little supervision now, isn't there?
Very little. Very little.
Supervision meaning what? Meaning visiting schools to see what's going
inspecting, and writing appraisals, and the whole human relations package that goes into
going to see how
somebody is performing his job.
Who are these people that do this? What kind of people would do this? Educators? I mean,
well,
that go and see how teachers do it.
You'd have to have an inspectorate division, and people are trained to do this.
Is there one? Do we have that?
There is right now, but it's not functioning well. And it's certainly not doing enough inspections, and it's not writing evaluations, appraisals, reports, etc. And then taking action, actually sanctioning people and schools that are not doing their job.
Exactly.
And this will make a big difference.
But that's across board. It's actually people everywhere,
yes,
not just the schools. It's the weakness of the system.
It's a weakness. Sanctioning is not well done, as we know.
So people can get away with...
People get away with all sorts of things. People get away with a lot. You have teachers who are drunk on duty. You have teachers who molest children. Teachers who don't show up for work. And teachers who don't give up their best. A teacher is a professional, and he must give up his best.
They must be sacking them and changing them if they are not doing the right thing. That's what I mean.
Yes,
I'm not saying
yes, carry out the rigors of the rules that apply to their employment. But motivate people. Motivate them, pay them living, decent wages.
Where is the money from?
The money ultimately has to come from the public purse. It's a question of priorities. If education is important, you'll find the money. Maybe some of our prestige projects will have to wait. Yeah. Put your money into human resources.
Don't do too many things at the same time.
Exactly. And there's support. Government is getting donor support. Donors want to see universal basic education, and they're supporting the government with that. So the government is getting a lot of support from donors. Donors consider this to be a very important policy. And if they see you doing well, I think there's a chance of getting more support.
But we haven't even started, Mrs. Sawyer.
Well, we're starting now, and hopefully if we carry on and show credibility, show performance, I think the system can improve.
What do you think of this NEPAD school feeding project where students, they go around saying that now students can get one hot meal a day?
I think for the deprived communities it's very, very important, very. I think malnutrition is a big issue.
For the deprived communities?
At the moment it's in deprived communities. It will probably move into less deprived. I don't know whether they're going to eventually cover the urban areas. I think it's a very good step.
They need to give them food to eat.
Oh yes. Look, this is done in the USA. The richest country in the world has a feeding program for children from deprived communities. They give them breakfast, they give them lunch. They get 2 meals a day at schools. So
that's the point I'm making. One
hot meal is fine. 1 meal a day, I think, is, because...
So when do they give it to them? Is it the fixed
I think
time?
they give them at lunchtime or break time. I'm not really sure. But if they give children 1 meal a day,
Because the parents can't feed them.
Parents don't have enough money often.
To give them one meal a day.
Or one very nutritious meal.
But that's what I'm
saying.
But
no, if the parents can give a second meal, that's fine. So then a child gets 2 meals a day.
Wow.
3 meals
poor.
a day
really
is the
poor,
ideal. We are poor. We are very poor. And most working people cannot give their children 3 meals a day. So if they can give 1 meal a day and the feeding program gives a second meal, that is enough to give a child adequate nutrition. And there's also a big incentive for children to come to school every day.
So they can come to eat, get
they
some food
know,
to eat.
And particularly with girls in the poorest communities, it's been found that they will come to school and stay in school if they know they're going to get a hot meal. It is an incentive for them and for their families to keep them in school. Yeah.
But you agree finally, Mrs. Sawyer, that in the end, really, a good education is really to unlock the person's potential, I would assume.
Yes, yes. But not just potential, but also to make sure the skills are taught, and that all children have equitable access to learn, to acquire these skills. Because there are so many bright children everywhere who are obviously not getting the opportunity. Imagine districts in Ghana where year after year no child passes the BEC examination.
It's hopeless.
And that means no one from that district can go on to secondary education. You can't tell me that there are not bright children in that district.
Yeah. Something is certainly wrong.
At least 5 to 10% of the children should be very bright. 20% should be quite capable of going to higher education.
I hope you're right, Mrs. Sawyer. Good luck. Thank you very much for coming.
You're very welcome.
Well, we've had a chance to hear what she had to say then and to examine where we are now. We've tried hard to find out where, first of all, we've made some progress. The school feeding program, it came into being. Of course, it ran into a bit of difficulty of late, but largely that came into being. The capitation grant. The capitation grant, there has been an increase, but funding is still insignificant. But then there are lots of other areas where we haven't made any progress. I mean, the issue of teacher shortfalls in public basic education. The fact that there are still places, like last year, where there was a 0% pass in basic education. Issues of teacher motivation. The inspectorate division of the Ministry of Education ensuring that things are done properly. These are many of the things that still remain to be done. And it is obvious that there is a gap between what we say and what we do. Perhaps once we bridge it, we'll be making a headway. Send us your comments. I'd like to know what you think. And please visit our site. See you next week.